75, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2025 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December of 2024, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Mr. Davis?
Is he online yet, Mr. Wary? Okay, no worries. Not here yet.
Okay, Mr. DeLuca?
Here.
Sengel?
Here.
Herman?
Here.
Mayor Adams?
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public, and whereas Section 7A provides that the governing body has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public in any meeting, and whereas desire of the governing body to comply with the provisions of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee, Township Maplewood, does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in deliberations of the governing body by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the option of the actions and discussions of the governing body at all of its regular and special meetings.
Moved.
Second.
Mr. Daffis? Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Sengel?
Yes.
Sermon?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes.
And I am moving over Mr. Daffis now to panelist. If you'd like to wait for a moment.
Wondering who was talking.
That was my delay, Mayor.
That. Good evening, Mr. Daffis.
Good evening.
Okay, I had asked everyone to rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible. If you wouldn't mind, remain standing for a moment of silence. Jennifer Howard Wilson, the sister of former Deputy Mayor Jermaine Kripe, passed away suddenly. I ask for a moment of silence and thoughts to her family. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 16th meeting of the Maplewood Township Committee. I wish my daughter a happy birthday, wherever she is, somewhere in the sky. And we have a few board and committee appointments to the Environmental Advisory Committee. Committee member Engel will lead that. We have 3 there. Then we have special presentations and proclamations. We have 6 proclamations, all of which are equally important. And so we will take a moment to read, Deputy Mayor Herman will read the Hispanic Heritage Month. Mr. DeLuca will read National Voter Registration Day, which is today. We have National Stillbirth Prevention and Awareness Day by Board of Health Chair Deb Engel. We have Suicide Prevention Month, Mr. Daffis, if you can do it from remote. Okay.
Sure can.
We have Childhood Cancer Awareness Month that I will read, and then Frontotemporal Degeneration Awareness Week that committee member Engel will read. Then we have a presentation by the Maplewood Village Alliance regarding a regulated parking pilot in Maplewood Village. Then we have public comment, agenda items only. We have a couple ordinances on for final passage. The first being storage of firearms. And then we have the front-facing garage requirements that is on for second reading as amended. Then we have the last on final would be with respect to a portion of Baker Street by the library that we are changing the parking regulations in front of the library for. We have an introduction for an ordinance on rental properties with respect to Article 1 entitled Rent Control, and a second ordinance on introduction for vehicles and traffic to prohibit parking within 5 feet of a driveway on Salter Place. Then we will move into our reports from departments. Mr. Weary for administration, Township Attorney Credidio, and Township Clerk Pritzen. Then from elected officials, we have reports from Mr. DeLuca, Mr. Daffis, Ms. Engel, Deputy Mayor Herman, and then I go last. We have a few discussion items on for this evening. Letter of approval for Noir Dispensary to provide delivery services. We have overnight parking permits that Mr. DeLuca, as Chair of Engineering Public Works, will lead, as well as designating Sustainable Maplewood as Maplewood's Green Team. That's a requirement from Sustainable Jersey. Then we have recommendations from the working group to recognize Maplewood's firsts, and Mr. DeLuca initiated that initiative. So he will report on that. Then we move to our consent agenda, public comment on any subject matter, and then we will adjourn. And we'll be done in 5 minutes. So with that, we'll move to Deputy Mayor Environmental Advisory Committee, Committee Member Engel. Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. Should I call them all up at the same time? Okay, so our Environmental Advisory Chair, Mr. McCoy, I see sitting here. Hello, thank you for your service. And he and Andrew Howell have been interviewing our new Environmental Advisory candidates. So I believe that Owen and Christy are here. I recognize you both. Nice to see you. And I believe Scott Butler is on Zoom. If you can move him over. So if you two will come up to the podium and you're just going to introduce yourselves, say why you're interested in being on the Environmental Advisory Committee, a little bit about yourselves, and we'll go from there. And I'll go in order. Well, Scott's online, so I'll start with Christy since you're listed first on the in-person agenda. Thank you. Owen, you're up next.
Thank you. And we have
Thank you, Owen.
We have someone in.
And then I see Scott Butler in space over there.
Yeah.
If you'd like to, I don't know if you heard us, but if you'd like to just introduce yourself and tell us why you would like to join the Environmental Advisory Committee.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I couldn't make it there tonight. I'm recovering from COVID, very, very retro. I'm looking forward to being considered for the Environmental Advisory Committee. I've lived in Maplewood for 19 years with my wife, Elizabeth Perry, who has some art on display at the library. I encourage you all to see it. I've worked in the energy industry for about 30 years, both through government and also I am now an employee of Consolidated Edison, which is the electric and gas and steam company for New York City and many of its northern suburbs. And I really would just love to put all of the work I'm doing on climate change at the office to work to help my own community. So I heard about this opportunity and threw my name into the hat. I hope to assist.
Thank you so much. So any questions from my colleagues on the dais?
No, I thank everyone for stepping up.
Yeah, so I move to nominate Scott Butler, Christy Ranieri, I don't know how to say your last name,
That's
do that right?
perfect.
And Owen Tyrell to the Environmental Advisory Committee. So I have a second.
I'll second that gladly.
Mr. Daffis,
Yes.
Mr.
Kept
DeLuca?
us in suspense.
Ms. Engel?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, thank you for volunteering, and I look forward to your work.
Thank you so much. You're welcome to stay and watch our meeting, or you're welcome to leave, however you prefer.
All right, now we'll move on to proclamations. We have Hispanic Heritage Month. Deputy Mayor,
Thank you.
got your glasses, you're good.
Yes. This is a proclamation for for National Hispanic Heritage Month, which started yesterday on September 15 and goes until October 15. Whereas beginning in 1968, the celebration of Hispanic heritage in America began as a week and was expanded to a month in 1988. And whereas every year, Hispanic Heritage Month takes place from September 15 to October 15 to recognize and celebrate the contributions, cultures, and histories of the American, Hispanic, and Latino community. And whereas alongside celebrating the accomplishments of the American, Hispanic, and Latino community, the month also marks the independence of numerous Latin American countries from Mexico, Chile, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. And whereas the United States has a population comprised of 19%, that's more than 63 million people, who identify as Hispanic or Latino, with New Jersey being home to 1.8 million. And whereas while we celebrate the achievements of the past, we also recognize those who are making history today, such as Newark's Teresa Ruiz, the majority leader of the New Jersey Senate, and Maria del Kid Coso, whose contributions from founding the Del Kid Dreamers Scholarship at Union County College to serving as a commissioner on the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission have paved the way for greater diversity and representation across our state. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Malia Herman, Deputy Mayor of the Township of Maplewood, on behalf of the Mayor of Maplewood, Nancy Adams, and the Township Committee, proclaim that September is Hispanic Heritage Month. Together with the rest of the Township Committee, I advocate that all citizens learn more about Hispanic culture, history, and remember that with all cultures, those who are Latin or Hispanic aren't a monolith, and each hold a rich and unique story to tell. Thank you.
Thank you. We should be applauding you. Even though there's nobody here to be taking it, but we'll move to today's National Voter Registration Day, Mr. DeLuca.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a proclamation for National Voter Registration Day, and I guess we have about 4.5 hours left, so
Oh,
we will celebrate it.
meant for the
No, well, not for the meeting, the registration day. Whereas the right to vote is the foundation of our democracy, ensuring every eligible citizen has a voice in shaping our future. And whereas too many Americans miss the opportunity to vote each year due to registration barriers such as deadlines, outdated information, or lack of awareness. And whereas National Voter Registration Day, first observed in 2012, is a nonpartisan effort that has helped millions register to vote, and especially is timely as New Jersey prepares for the 2025 election. And whereas the 2025 election will be held on November 4th, with races including governor, all 80 members of the General Assembly, and numerous county and municipal offices. And whereas broad community partnerships, including nonprofit schools, businesses, and public institutions, and I might say our library was participating today, they play a vital role in making voter registration accessible. And one other thing, we worked with the League of Women Voters, about 20 of us this weekend, Saturday. We went door to door knocking on people who have just moved here who we found were not registered, or who moved here recently. And we found that they were not registered, and we gave them information about registering, voting by mail, and what have you. So that's what we have to do, is try to get out there. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Victor DeLuca, on behalf of Nancy Adams, Mayor of the Township of Maplewood, and the entire Township Committee, do hereby proclaim September 16th, 2025 as National Voter Registration Day in the Township of Maplewood, and urge all eligible residents to register and participate in our democracy. And be it further resolved that the last day to register for the November 4th general election is October 14th, 2025. and that residents may register online at the New Jersey Division of Elections website, which is vote.nj.gov. Request a paper application from the clerk's office here or through other designated locations.
Thank you. Important. Voting, really important right now. Oh,
If I may,
sure.
as
Is
represent,
that in order or out
You
of
ha-
order?
You have to, you have to,
Wow.
yeah, I don't think that goes with the whole like Robert's Rules of Orders.
Out of order.
You're out of order. You're out of order. Okay,
I'm going
Ms. Bobro.
time. As a member of League of Women Voters, National Council of Jewish Women, and other organizations that have been working very hard today to register voters, I would like to present to post in Town Hall the form with the QR code, which gets you right into the site and helps you register. And I have a couple of little ones for you to carry around and shove in people's faces to make sure that they can register to vote. Thank you so
Well,
much.
here,
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
give you this resolution then, because if you're giving us something, we want to give you something back. So here you go. Thank you very much.
You have to share.
I will.
I don't know that we'll shove them in people's faces, but I think it will be helpful to
got
have them, yes. Thank you. We'll move on to Ms. Engel for National Stillbirth Prevention and Awareness Day.
Thank you. Whereas more than 21,000 pregnancies in the United States end in stillbirth each year, and whereas disparities persist with Black, Hispanic, American Indian, or Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander families at significantly higher risk, and whereas stillbirths in the U.S. surpass the combined death tolls of the top 5 causes of death among children aged 0 to 14. And whereas despite advances in maternal care, the national stillbirth rate declined only marginally over the past 2 decades, and international comparisons show the U.S. lagging behind many countries. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Deb Engel, on behalf of Nancy Adams, Mayor of the Township Maplewood, and the entire Maplewood Township Committee, do hereby proclaim September 19th, 2025 as Stillbirth Prevention and Awareness Day in the Township of Maplewood, to honor bereaved families and to promote increased awareness and prevention efforts. And be it further resolved that residents are encouraged to support national observance efforts on this day, and that local families be reminded of resources such as Pockets of Light in Montclair, which offers in-person and virtual support groups. Thank you.
Mr. Daffis, you
Thank
have
you,
the
Mayor.
proclamation in front of you. Yeah.
I do, and I thank you, and good evening again. And I thank you for the opportunity to present this proclamation. In particular, you know that this issue is very near and dear to me, and I've talked about it many times in public here at Township Committee meetings. So September is also Suicide Prevention Month. It's a time to raise awareness and emphasize the role each of us can play in preventing suicide. According to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, suicide is the 11th leading cause of death nationwide. Among individuals ages 10 to 34, it is the second leading cause of death. Stigma surrounding mental illness and suicide discourages those at risk from seeking help and deepens the trauma experienced by survivors of suicide. Suicide Prevention Month, therefore, encourages open conversation, recognition of warning signs, and connection to support and resources that can literally save people's lives. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Dean Daffis, Township Committee member, on behalf of Mayor Nancy Adams and the rest of the Maplewood Township Committee, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2025 as Suicide Prevention Month in the Township. Be it further resolved that residents are reminded that the 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline is available 24/7 and can be reached via phone, call, text message, or online at 988 or through 988lifeline.org. for anyone in distress or seeking support for themselves or a loved one. Please reach out if you need help. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Daffis. We have a proclamation for Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas after initial proclamations by President George H.W. Bush in 1990 and later President Obama in 2012, 2015, and 2016, National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month was officially recognized in the United States in September of 2019. And whereas approximately 400,000 children worldwide are diagnosed with cancer each year, including about 43 children in the US on a daily basis, and roughly 1 in 285 children will be diagnosed by their 20th birthday. And whereas cancer is the leading cause of disease-related death among American children past infancy, and whereas only 6 new drugs specifically for childhood cancer have been developed in the past 3 decades. Most standard treatments date back to the 1980s, and over 95% of survivors experience significant long-term health effects by age 45. And whereas less than 4% of federal cancer research funding is dedicated to childhood cancers. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Nancy Adams, Mayor of the Township of Maplewood, on behalf of the Township Committee, do hereby proclaim September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the Township of Maplewood. And be it further resolved that residents are encouraged to be proactive in recognizing symptoms, supporting early diagnosis, advocating for research funding, and contributing to organizations on the front lines in the fight against childhood cancer. Thank you. Yes, we have to call. Ms. Engel, this topic is so close to me, I'm gonna ask you to read it, so.
Thank you for giving me the honor, Mayor. This is the proclamation for Frontotemporal Degeneration FTD Awareness Week, September 21st to 27th, 2025. Whereas frontotemporal degeneration, FTD, is the most common form of dementia for people under age 60, often striking individuals in their prime, working and family years, cutting short careers, disrupting households, and altering the course of entire families. And whereas FTD causes progressive and irreversible changes in behavior, language, and movement, often leading to loss of independence, isolation, and misunderstanding due to frequent misdiagnosis. And whereas this devastating illness places extraordinary emotional, physical, and financial strain on families as loved ones become full-time caregivers, households lose critical income, and medical and long-term care costs quickly escalate. And whereas approximately 20% of cases are genetic, underscoring the urgent need for expanded research, earlier and more accurate diagnosis, greater awareness, and comprehensive support systems for patients and caregivers. And whereas the Association for Frontotemporal Degeneration, AFTD, together with international partners, leads World FTD Awareness Week to increase understanding, provide vital resources, support caregivers, and advocate for effective treatment and ultimately a cure. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Deb Engel, on behalf of Mayor Nancy Adams and the entire Maplewood Township Committee, do hereby proclaim the week of September 21st to 27th as Frontotemporal Degeneration FTD Awareness Week in the Township of Maplewood. And be it further resolved that residents are encouraged to learn more at theaftd.org to support families and caregivers affected by FTD and to participate in awareness efforts during this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Daffis to introduce the presentation we have for tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to level set here and frame the presentation a little bit before you hear it from the presenters and before we engage in any discussion about it. What you're going to hear tonight is a very macro presentation. After tonight's presentation, the Township Committee will receive a detailed memo in support of this proposal with more details. There will be a press release that will go out from the MVA about this, along with the detailed memo that the governing body will receive after the presentation. So for tonight, what we're doing is just a very quick macro presentation of a proposal for a regulated parking in Maplewood Village pilot, right? A study for about a year to see what we can learn from it. This is a paid parking pilot. This presentation is coming from the Strategic Planning and Parking Committee of the Maplewood Village Alliance. The committee is comprised of merchants and property owners and members of the Maplewood Village Alliance. I am also, as the governing body liaison, a member of that committee. There has been a strategic planning and parking committee, at least a parking committee on the MVA, at least since I've been a member of the governing body for 8 years now. And I have always been the liaison to the parking committee. This initiative proposing a paid parking study in Maplewood Village is in direct response to the longstanding parking challenge we've had in the village, a challenge of not being able to turn over our parking spots, causing parking shortages and circulation challenges, and even wayfinding challenges in the village. So the idea of having a technology-supported paid parking system to help us turn over the spots for better parking utilization, we don't have that many spots as it is, and to improve circulation and wayfinding is the reason for the proposal. This is not a new idea to Maplewood. For at least 25 years, we've been talking about this. And Maplewood continues to suffer from low turnover of parking spaces and inconsistent enforcement. In fact, we have studied this by experts for 25 years. Back in 2005, we dove deep into what Donald Shoup's extensive renowned research on the issue, the high cost of free parking. You'll hear a little bit about him and his research. At the end of the day, free parking isn't free. It costs us and our businesses and ultimately the community. In 2012, Maser Consulting parking study was conducted, and this was by parking experts who looked at our parking spots in the village, studied circulation and parking utilization at peak times. They recommended paid parking, improved enforcement, and license plate recognition technology, which we have recently ordered for the Maplewood Police Department and parking enforcement. In 2018, the International Downtown Association study concluded that effectively managed paid parking leads to approximately 4 times more turnover of parking spaces per day. In 2019, the Maplewood Village Vision Implementation Plan, strategic revisioning that was done by DCA, by the state, emphasized the need for parking enhancement measures, including paid parking. And most recently, our 2023 newly, I don't know if we could still call it our new master plan that we adopted as a township recommends the implementation of paid parking in the village. So you're going to hear a little bit about why. Tonight, we're not going to get into the details about how much are we going to charge? Which zones? Is it all the parking in the village? Which days? How do we do it for holidays? And so on and so forth. That's not for tonight. What is for tonight is our getting a sense from the township committee as to whether or not there is a willingness to explore this further and to lean into those details, working in concert with the MVA and other experts and stakeholders in the community to get to those details, right? It's not the MVA's job to come up with all those things, and definitely township administration and the governing body has a stake in those final details. We're not going to ask for a vote tonight either. I think that's unnecessary also. What we're trying to get is a sense of whether or not this governing body in this moment in time will finally lean into exploring and looking into this pilot further. All right. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our chair of the Maplewood Village Alliance and the chair of this parking committee, strategic planning and parking committee, our president, Amy Howlett, who will be doing the presentation, and she will be supported by Maplewood Village Alliance manager, Erin Rose. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Julie Pauley.
And thank you to the town council for giving us the time to present today. We really appreciate it. If you've ever had a problem parking in Maplewood Village, we have a solution. We are proposing, as Dean said, a temporary pilot paid parking program for Maplewood Village. As Dean also said, my name's Amy Howlett. I'm the chair of the Maplewood Village Alliance. And as you are probably aware, the Maplewood Village Alliance is the nonprofit that manages Maplewood Village. We're comprised of volunteer merchants, property owners, and residents, and one full-time paid employee, our fabulous executive director, Erin Rose Baldry, who is invaluable in putting this presentation together. After a brief presentation, you can ask us questions. As Dean said, we are going to submit a detailed memo by email later. But first, I'd like to introduce Julie Pauley, owner of Able Baker in Maplewood Village. Some of you may have been there, I don't know. She's a member of the Maplewood Village Alliance and a member of the Strategic Planning and Parking Committee. Julie, take it away.
Good evening. Well, I don't need to give you my name. My name's Julie. I think I've seen many of you at the bakery. When the bakery first opened in 2009, we had indoor seating. We had 8 seats to be exact, and customers got free refills of their coffee or tea if they chose to sit and take a seat inside. I hoped that more people might stop in and sit a while. After all, nobody knew us, and I didn't want people passing by to peek in the windows and see empty tables, so it seemed like a great idea. It didn't take long for every seat to be taken most of the time. I'm sure I've heard from many of you when you couldn't find a place to sit and have your coffee. Folks lingered with their second or third cup of coffee quite often. Free refills was enormously popular. So it took us a while to make any changes, 6 years to be exact, but we finally stopped offering those free refills. I offer this just as an anecdote before Amy does her presentation.
So you eliminated free refills and started charging for the second cup, right?
Yes, we did.
And did people complain about that?
Yes.
And
Especially in the beginning, and especially our regulars.
despite the complaints, did eliminating the free refills help your business?
It did. People still came in for coffee, but they didn't linger as long. And other paying customers came in and took their places almost as soon as they left.
And what's the economic lesson you learned from this, Julie?
When a resource is scarce, you don't give it away for free. And I've actually been saying this about coffee refills for years. So just
Yeah.
do it for this.
So yes,
presentation.
she told me the story and I said, you have to share that. Can you please share our PowerPoint presentation on the screen? Oh, there we go. Thank you so much. You can go to the next slide, please. The pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expects it to change, the realist adjusts the sails. As Dean said, for over 25 years, people have been complaining about parking in Maplewood Village. Over the course of those 25 years, urban planning experts have recommended paid parking as an important piece of the solution for Maplewood Village specifically and generally as a best practice for downtown districts. One study that Dean cited, the International Downtown Association, even found that paid parking leads to 4 times more turnover of parking spaces per day. That's a huge improvement. So just to tie it back, we're done just complaining. We're done just expecting things to change, and we're ready to do something. And that's something we're proposing, again, is a temporary pilot paid parking program for Maplewood Village. The next slide, please. The problem stems from a low turnover of parking spaces and uneven enforcement. This problem is hurting our merchants and the overall long-term economic development of the village. We hear stories continually about people missing their appointments after circling and not being able to find a spot, restaurant owners being told people will no longer come to their restaurant because they can't park, Merchants who can't find merchant parking because nobody is enforcing non-merchant use of merchant spots, which then leads to merchants using customer spots, and the vicious cycle continues. We conducted extensive stakeholder surveys, and this summer we conducted a stakeholder surveys, and the results show that parking continues to be a major area of concern for Maplewood Village. Next slide, please. So our proposal for a temporary paid parking pilot stems from, as Dean said, extensive research and data. While paid parking is not this perfect solution, it is an important piece to a multifaceted solution to the parking problem. This slide lists some of the sources that we consulted in coming up with our proposal. The widely lauded Donald Shoup, an economist who conducted extensive case studies across the United States and I think even internationally, and concluded that it was a best practice to have paid parking in a downtown district, and several other studies that were specific to Maplewood Village that recommended paid parking, in addition to the Maplewood Master Plan, which was, again, urban planning experts and extensive stakeholder research. A different composition of the MVA board and a different composition of the MVA Parking Committee also recommended paid parking to the Township Committee in 2022. You can go to the next slide. And just to give you a visual of this study we keep talking about, just so you all see it there, paid parking leads to 4 times more turnover of parking spaces, and it actually can be as high as 5 or 6. We just kind of wanted to give you a conservative number there. You don't need to do the next slide yet. We actively search for counter data and criticisms of the resources that we consulted, and we found none. And this seems to be other people have concluded the same thing. I read an editorial of another town that was going through paid parking, and the person writing the editorial said the same thing. We can't find any criticism. So the benefits of paid parking promotes faster turnover, leads to reduced cruising for spots, which in turn improves traffic circulation and helps to make the streets safer and encourages walking, riding, cycling, and it ensures that the cost of paid parking is actually borne by those who are parking more often and not by the public in general, which is what it currently is. As Dean said, we currently don't have free parking. We're all paying for it in terms of municipal funds and taxes. And it will create a new stream of revenue for the town and the MVA. The next slide, please. Modern parking technology provides additional benefits. A big one for me is that parking apps can even direct parkers to open spots. Imagine driving down to Maplewood Village for dinner and looking to see what zones or what spots are available. I think that's a huge benefit. And the technology also aids enforcement, license plate recognition, smart readers. It allows people to detect violations more quickly. And it gives alerts to visitors so they realize that they've parked too long, and it aids compliance. And it will also help our merchants and the village in general by providing analytics regarding parking, shopping, and dining behaviors. The next slide, please. According to a very conservative estimate, paid parking revenue generated just from the parking fees, not compliance, could lead to approximately $800,000 in revenue a year for the town and the MVA. We could use these funds for long-term economic development for the village, widespread marketing campaigns to drive more foot traffic to our businesses, more events to drive foot traffic to our businesses and for the benefit of the public, more beautification campaigns. As you know, the MVA is underfunded for a business improvement district of its size, which stands in stark contrast to how important I think the village is to Maplewood in general. The next slide, please. These are just some examples of some beautification projects we've undertaken recently with our limited budget, and wanted to give these to you as kind of an aspirational of what we did this, think what we could do with a larger budget. We conducted stakeholder surveys this summer that showed more people wanted more of this type of project in Maplewood Village. And the master plan from 2023 that also conducted stakeholder survey, much more widespread than ours, also concluded that this is the type of thing that people in Maplewood want to see more of. The next slide, please. 11 of our neighbors have paid parking: South Orange, Milburn, Summit, Short Hills, Livingston, Montclair, Chatham, Madison, Newark, East Orange, and Orange. People expect it. On several occasions, I've gotten out of my car in Maplewood Village and people have come up to me really confused and stressed and asked, how do I pay for parking? People really expect it. Studies show that residents support paid parking measures when they know that that revenue is directly supporting that downtown district. And that's exactly what we're proposing here. And in addition, many improvement districts, many downtown districts are funded in part by paid parking. We conducted focus groups this summer with Maplewood merchants and a merchant survey and found them a majority of merchants in Maplewood Village support our proposal of a temporary pilot paid parking program in Maplewood Village. The next slide, please. So again, I'm saying these words over and over again, just to make it clear, we're recommending a temporary pilot paid parking program in Maplewood Village. The idea is we want to look at it and evaluate the feasibility and gather data to see if it's a good fit for Maplewood Village. And we recommend this is done in connection with other measures such as increased enforcement, better wayfinding, and public outreach. And even if after a year, which would be probably our recommended time frame, we realize that paid parking is not a good fit for Maplewood Village, regardless, the program will have yielded value because it will allow us to gather data to determine who comes to Maplewood, when, how long they park for, and other valuable insights that can help inform our future parking solutions. There's no material upfront cost for paid parking. It would be borne by the parking vendor. Any incidental cost would be covered by the revenue generated by paid parking. And as mentioned before, we would recommend the revenue be split between the town and the Maplewood Village Alliance, with the Maplewood Village Alliance portion being directed toward village improvements. As Dean said, we're not asking for a vote tonight. We're asking to open a conversation to look at how we could best operationalize paid parking, to look at what the nuts and bolts would look like in Maplewood Village, what the hours would be, what the price would be. And we've conducted rather extensive research into those details, but we didn't think it was appropriate for us to recommend them. I think it should be a larger conversation, but we'd like to be part of that conversation as a stakeholder. So paid parking is not going to solve all of our problems, and people might complain. People complain, it doesn't mean it's not working. Paid parking is backed by evidence, and it would give us a data-driven starting point for a problem we've been discussing for over 25 years, since the dawn of the automobile, I would guess. And we're saying it's time to try something new. We can't just sit back and let the problems persist. We want to try something. And if you could go to the next slide, please. This is our last slide. I'm going to leave you with the words of Thomas Jefferson. If you want something you have never had, you must be willing to do something you have never done. I want to have it be easy to find parking on a Saturday night in Maplewood Village. And that is the end of our presentation. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, we have several of the members of our strategic planning and parking committee if you'd like to ask any questions.
Sure. Thank you very much. Would any of my colleagues like to ask any questions? No?
Well, I mean, I was going to go last. Does anyone else have anything to ask? I know that we're not getting in the nuts and bolts, but my biggest question, we've been talking about paid parking for a long time, is who's handling like the admin? I know there's apps, I know all that stuff, but I also come from working in South Orange where there's a parking authority, and I know that there's a lot of work. And I also don't think that we have the radar guns for the PD, do we? I thought those were something else, so we'd have to purchase those. So that's always been my biggest concern, is like our admin is so busy, our DPW is so busy, our PD is so busy. I'm just not sure where that workload goes.
So first, I'd just like to say that there was a crystal ball I looked into, and I knew you would ask that.
I know you did, Ms. Hallett.
Yeah, hi, Erin Rose Baldry, the Village Alliance Executive Director. I know you know me, but just for public information, thank you for your question, Ms. Engel. And in short, with the benefits of technology, you actually can have a fairly automated regulatory authority without the need of additional personnel. So that would mean that you do not require a separate parking authority, and you can take advantage of the existing enforcement officers that we have and the technology that we're planning to have in the form of license plate reader technology in conjunction with the apps. It will be a fairly automated process that won't necessitate the need to hire or build out a parking authority.
Right, so there is going to be work related to it though. So that's just my question, like who's actually doing the work?
I think those are some of the details we need to iron out. And I think because there is such a large amount of revenue here, if there did need to be an additional staff, the net benefit is still a huge net benefit. And so again, those, we would want to talk with you about how to best operationalize that.
Yeah, and go into extensive detail, but in short, the answer is it's not necessary, especially in the beginning. And then we do go in that in our memo, which you'll receive this evening, that does actually address that question. And we hope to go into more detail in, in ongoing time when we're ready to discuss this in greater detail.
Yeah, after you read the memo, we'd love to, whatever the next dean can guide us as to what the next best step is, to sit down and really address all of these concerns in detail. Just kind of wanted to open the conversation.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I had two questions. You mentioned 800,000, and I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about where that number came from. You said that that was a conservative estimate, so I'm just trying to visualize how we would get to that high, and then also if you could share a little bit about the feedback that you got from merchants in the village.
So thank you, Ms. Herman. To start with your first question about how we came about those figures, this, as Amy alluded to, is a very rudimentary figure and high level based on our calculations on the number of potential spaces available. There are 350 something spaces, which we gathered with Dean's help and also working with the parking authority to determine how many potential spaces there are available in the village to implement a paid parking program. So based on that, of the 350 spaces, if we charge a competitive rate of approximately $2 per hour from the hours of 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., about 80% of the year, so that doesn't include Sundays or the holiday period from November until the new year, so about 80% of the year, that will accumulate a revenue of, at the very minimum, $800,000 per year. And that does not include additional revenue with increased enforcement. So the way we have enforcement now, it's not as efficient as it could be with license plate reader technology to make the system more automated and more reliable. We made last year, Maplewood made approximately $35,000 in penalties, parking penalty revenue, just by having license plate readers alone, not even the parking apps. That would stand to more than double. And that's in addition to the revenue we would stand to make very conservatively if we implement paid parking in those 350 spaces. So that's how we came up with that number. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And to the second part of your question, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, if you can share with us some of the feedback that you got from the merchants.
Yes, yeah. The biggest concern with merchants is what Amy had discussed, was that merchants can't find spaces in the merchant spots. And then their customers are circling and then they get fed up and go somewhere else to go shopping. And this is because we have a lack of turnover and a lack of uniform enforcement for both merchant spaces and customer spaces. So they are on board with the idea of change, because it was definitely a mixed bag, right? We had some people who were not in favor of it, just like with any change, but the majority were, and the majority were definitely in favor of change in whatever form that takes, because they want something to improve and they're willing to try something new to see if it makes a difference. And that's why we're also suggesting this as a pilot. We also want to see if it works and makes a difference, because we have a hunch based on a lot of data, not just our own feelings, that this will work, but we want to see the data to prove that it will.
I did have one more, if that's okay.
Sure.
Did you find anything in your research showing that when you have paid parking spots, then people branch into like residential to get, free spots out of that zone? I'm just wondering what impact this might have to people who live nearby.
Yeah, I mean, we would definitely have to look into it in more detail, but that is already a problem in Maplewood, as I'm sure you're aware. And then without having any enforcement, that makes it even harder, right? So if the notion of enforcement of residential parking goes beyond the proposal of just public parking spaces for the downtown commercial district, but that is a broader question of parking enforcement in residential areas as well.
It's something we could look into.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I have a few questions. So what I keep hearing is it's enforcement. So why is this, have you considered the solution to be lobbying the township or helping the township enforce parking restrictions that are currently in place as opposed to pay parking?
It's two pieces. It's enforcement and it's paid parking. So the paid parking turns over not just due to the enforcement, but due to the fact that there's a clear limit and
Yeah, I
you
know.
know that you have to stay for that time limit and you get an app notification telling you your time's up and then you go leave. It also helps to enforce the merchants using the customer spots, because right now what a lot of them are doing is they're just going and they're parking and they aren't paying for it. So it's partially enforcement because no one's telling them they need to move their car. And although they do, I guess, go and periodically move their cars so that they comply with the limits. But if they have to pay for it, they're more likely to then go and pursue a merchant permit, which is significantly less money and might be paid for by their employer. If they have to pay for it, they're probably not going to stay there and park all day. It's going to into their, it's just not.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of conflation going with the thought process, because I think there's an opportunity to do better enforcement with license plate readers without charging necessarily. I think Aaron Rose, my background is 30 years in downtown management revitalization work. I also was the director of the South Orange Parking Authority for a couple years while I was running downtown South Orange. So I'm very, 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 very familiar with this issue. I manage Downtown Summit right now, which has paid parking. And as I expressed to you before, my concern is that there's a thought that this is going to be the be-all, end-all solution to any parking problems. And I just want everyone to be aware that that is actually not what happens. And let me finish, please. It doesn't, it does create turnover without question. A lot of that turnover means moving to another spot downtown, so it doesn't necessarily result in more open spaces. It does regulate better the employee use of customer spaces, but a lot of that depends too on the hours of the paid parking. If they go till, say, 6 o'clock, then the restaurant workers will take all those customer spots because nobody's enforcing after 4:30, 5 o'clock. There's a lot of details that I know we're not getting into, and I look forward to the memo. But I also frankly have a question about the revenue. You're proposing a split between the township and MVA, but the township owns all the property. So what's the justification that the Village Alliance gets? Because I've never seen that in 30 years, that the CID gets some of the money from parking revenue. If anything, at the holiday time, in my current position, we have to pay like $3,000 to $5,000 to the parking services, the parking utility of the city of Summit, in order to get a few weeks of free parking for customers so that they have an equal playing field with Short Hills Mall a mile away that has all free parking. So I think, I'm not quite sure I understand why the MVA would get any of the revenue.
Business districts across the state and the country.
Where is that? Do you have any examples? Because I don't know any.
I don't know if Daniela, you want to speak to it, but if it's not in our memo, we can give you way more detail. Our idea was to open the conversation tonight, and we would love to get into all of these details.
Yeah.
And if you give us these specific questions that you have, we can provide you details of case studies addressing the issue you had before with conflation of revenue and enforcement, and whether or not they're just going to other spots. We can direct you to any of those studies.
No, I know the studies. I'm just
No,
asking
just saying, yeah.
what the justification is by MVA
Right.
to
It
get
happens in
parking.
it's not uncommon.
California, I think you shared a study, Daniela. Santa Barbara, California, has paid parking, and most of the revenue goes back to their SID.
That depends on who manages the parking. There are SIDs who manage parking. They may be the ones getting revenue, but I've never heard of a SID ever.
Jersey City, yeah.
Okay, I just still haven't gotten the answer to the question of what the justification is. What work is, you know what I'm saying? Like,
So I think the
it's
justification
the
is-
town's property is my point.
Right. Well, the justification is that we're managing Maplewood Village, and it's something that affects our stakeholders directly, and therefore we should have some of the revenue. In addition, it's generally, you generally get more public support for paid parking if you show that it's directly funding improvements in the village. Who does most of the improvements in the village? Usually done under the auspices of the Maplewood Village Alliance. So it seems to me like it makes sense to, and again, we can show you various studies that have shown that it improves public perception of paid parking and also the benefits that come when it's put into beautification projects that are in the very downtown district where the paid parking is being implemented.
And lastly, because I know we weren't going into details about hourly, but the $800,000 number came from a $2 an hour charge for parking. Is that what I heard? Okay, and that's pretty high for a downtown, especially a small downtown. It's less in bigger downtowns.
The rate for our downtown area.
Well, there will be turnoff by people. There's also accessibility to being able to go to the village for people who can't necessarily afford to pay for parking. So there's a lot of other issues with, that kind of stuff. I think $2 is on the high side, very high side for a village of our size. It's not even that in the city of Summit, which is.
I would just say that the 800,000 is a very conservative estimate. For $2, it actually gets you closer to like 1.6 million. So we could easily lower that $2 an hour and still generate the revenue that we're expecting.
Now, I'm assuming since you had consultants working on this, there was something to do with more expensive parking in the ideal spots on the street versus the
Yes.
lots.
Again, we didn't think it was our role to make those determinations. We've done.
Oh, no, I'm just saying.
As a stakeholder, we just want to propose opening a conversation to
Yeah.
discuss the very questions you're asking.
Yeah.
To determine whether it would make sense for Maplewood Village. So that's basically.
I know my questions sound like I'm opposed to it. I
You're
am
asking
not,
smart
I'm not
questions.
necessarily
Yeah.
opposed to it. I'm just asking questions that need to be asked. And they're just the beginning of it, right? So,
These are all things that we need to think about.
yeah.
Require a lot more thought and time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely important question. Play the devil's advocate with any decision you make.
Yeah, because we're the ones who are going to hear it, just saying. Go ahead, Mr. Toole.
So I just have a couple of things that I'm going to be thinking about when you send the memo and we talk about this some more. So one thing is just for our side, the way I understand revenue, when we raise revenue like parking meters, it goes into the general fund unless you have a dedicated utility. And I think that's why most towns have a parking. So we'd have to figure out, because once the money goes into the general fund, we can't automatically pay for improvements. So we'd have to figure out on our side if we need some kind of utility or can go in the general fund, and we can annually allocate money for improvements and stuff like that. The other thing I'm going to be thinking about is, right now we have streeteries.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't really charge that much because they're buying free. They're buying spaces that
Right.
don't cost anything. Now they're going to be worth something because we're putting a value. So if you take out, say, 4 parking spaces
$2,
at $2 an hour,
9 to 6.
how many months? So we'd have to figure, how do we deal with the streeteries? Because then it becomes a value.
This is definitely something we even investigated and
Yeah.
we do get to that point, which we hope to then be in a position of where we will implement some sort of pilot. That is definitely a serious consideration. It might require more.
Yeah.
Benefiting by having these tables and extra, patrons that are there spending money. So we might have to then think about how we can rate on the potential cost of earned revenue versus.
Yeah. So that's going to be something I'm going to be looking at. So the other thing on the fee is I too think $2 an hour is pretty high. I think that's, sort of Cape May-ish kind of
Mm-hmm.
Fee. So I would be interested to find out, what does Milburn charge? What does South Orange charge?
Is that in our memo, that table we put together? If not, we can add, we can give it to you.
Yeah. And I also know that some towns, like I go to Summit and I think you can park for 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
15 minutes free.
15 minutes for free.
Thing we proposed.
Okay.
The notion of considering at least on every block spaces that are first 15 minutes or
Right.
only 15-minute spaces. Is something we would need to consider when we go to then work out all the little details.
And some towns have exclusions if you have a handicap tag, that you don't get an
They don't
overtime.
have to park.
You
They don't have
you
to
don't-
pay.
You don't have to pay. So I don't know if that's into your calculations, when you figure that out. So that'd be something I'd want to hear about. The technology, I assume you're going to use, Park Mobile or something like that.
Mhm.
They charge a pretty hefty, so it's about 30-some%, I think. Yeah, 36, right? Yeah, so some people won't get the app because they don't want to do it. So if you don't have the app, is there going to be another way to pay?
The app, you can actually pay, the likes of Park Mobile and their competitors have the option to either go on a website directly, or if you don't have that capability or you don't have a smartphone, or for perhaps some of the public that's not familiar with using the internet on their phone,
Right.
you can make a phone call and pay by call.
So will we have any kind of machine there? Are you proposing?
Well, that we could consider the use of 1 or 2 kiosks, but that's, that obviously is an added expense.
Right.
While having at least one so that certain spots are available by kiosk for those that are not comfortable or not able to, or for whatever reason, don't use the app itself, the platform.
So, talk about expenses. One of the things we did when we set up the stormwater utility is we took a look at DPW and started to put a value on what DPW activities we were spending money on to keep up, to manage and maintain our stormwater source. So it would be interesting to get that, for us to put together, what does it cost to sweep the streets, do anything we're doing with DPW, lighting, we're paying for lights down there and all that kind of. So once we start putting a value on some revenue, I'd like to sort of measure that against some of the costs. And the last thing, you kind of mentioned a year pilot. Is that what you're thinking about? Okay, because I think it's very important that we tell people this is the pilot period, and these are the milestones, and these are the things, so that, at every quarter, we're going to give a report, and that a township committee has to make a decision at some point. And one thing just to remember is that technically, an existing township committee cannot bind a future township committee. So it might be that if we're thinking of doing this for 2026, we might even want to compress the time period from a year so that instead of making a decision next December and then having maybe a new township committee come in January and change it, is that maybe it's instead of a year, it's 6 months or 8 months so that we can have that time to do it. So,
Because there's going to be free parking during the holiday period, it would just have to be a meaningful period.
okay. Yeah, whatever it is, it's just, there may be some quirk there because of particularly if you have a 2-person election and 2 people get on and all of a sudden the majority doesn't want this. It could be that the pilot works and it just doesn't get passed. So
Be the turnover. Just be one person?
could
No,
be 2. Could be 2.
Next year,
It's 2-2-1. Right. So it could be 2-2 and you could have 2 people on here or 1 person on here and all of a sudden it's the majority who doesn't want it. So I think you would, if you're going to go through all this effort, I think you would want to have a township committee kind of make it that decision and not leave it to a future township.
Like the same township committee say yes, and then hear the results, and then say at the end of the trial, right?
The pilot wouldn't be put in place so they could just overturn an ordinance?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They could just vote to do that. So it's more of just a political thing that, you got to think about that timing and.
Very valid concern. This is also why we're here isn't already by no
Mhm.
together with our knowledge and our research to propose this, but we obviously are then relying on side, if we can really make this happen and how. And we're here to support those efforts.
And maybe there's another consultant. I'm not sure exactly what the process is, but want to open the conversation.
The architect for the library, her son, Henry, and I can't remember his last name, just wrote a book on parking and used a lot of that. The person you, so anyway, he might be available if we wanted to have him come out, so we have an in to him.
Can I ask another question? Just because you mentioned the merchant permit parking, and I know we just expanded the amount of permits that each merchant can get. So I'm just curious. I also worked on parking in the village a long time ago with maybe some of you. And I wasn't sure. I didn't think we had enough spots in the merchant lots for the permits, and I thought the permits were parking in the regular spots. And so I just wasn't sure we're increasing the amount of merchant permits if they have to follow those rules, or if their cars, I thought, just get to stay. And so if you're using that increased number of permits that we're giving out in your calculations for the number of parking spots that we actually have available for customers.
So it's a multifaceted question and answer, but the issue with the merchant parking is that it is separate to public paid parking. The issue of lack of spaces also has to do with lack of enforcement, like we were talking about. So we have the issue of that, and then the issue of having enough space. We would argue permit numbers that we're having, but in order to meet modern demands, some merchants, for example, have 30 employees and some have 2. To have number cap. So that was the reason why we proposed, the MBA proposed the change on the cap. But the total number of merchant permits will be similar. It's just that some businesses pay more, others.
Yeah, it was the spots I'm asking about.
I think this pilot program would also allow us to actually evaluate better what the availability of the merchant spots is. Because if we have this in place and we're really pushing the merchants to get the permits and not park in the customer spots, and we're enforcing the non-merchants parking in the merchant spots, it'll really allow us to get a better picture, I think, of whether or not there really is a shortage. Is it just because people are parking there who shouldn't go there? I mean, it's not going to give us 100% accurate. And, it's, as the mayor said, this isn't the end all be all, but we think it's one piece of the whole solution.
And from just anecdotally from the merchants is, there are different shifts for the merchants, right? And their employees. So some, for example, restaurants are open later in the evening, whereas the bakery is open very early before parking even starts. So at some point, there's different needs. So there are a lot of employees, but they're there at different times of day and they have different needs. So they're not all there at the same time.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna, if it's okay, move on. Thank you very much for the conversation, the presentation, and more to come.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your good.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we'll move, public comment, first public comment. Is there anyone here who would like to address the Township Committee on anything that is on the agenda this evening? If so, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address. Mr. Wary, can you look online, see if anyone wants to speak to any agenda items only?
If anyone on Zoom would like to speak in public portion, please raise your hand. I see no hands, Mayor.
Okay, great. Then we'll move to ordinances on final passage. Ms. Fritzen, we have 3162-25.
Yes, Mayor, we're on ordinances on final passage. Item 8A is ordinance number 3162-25, is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 126 of the Township Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Firearms with respect to firearm storage. This ordinance will amend and supplement Chapter 126 of the Township Code to establish standards for safe firearm storage.
This ordinance has been published, copies posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the law. This ordinance is on second reading, so I'd like to open the hearing for this ordinance. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to this ordinance about firearm storage? Mr. Weary, can you look online? Everyone left, except
If
for,
anyone online would like to speak on this ordinance, please raise your hand. I see no hands, Mayor.
thank you. With that, I'll ask Deputy Mayor Herman to make a motion.
I would like to make a statement before I make the motion, if I could.
Actually, make the motion, we'll get a second, and then I'll
Got
have
it.
your statement.
I move this ordinance to be adopted as a whole and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a passed ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
You're not on.
Mr. Daffis?
No,
No,
I don't have a statement.
Deputy Mayor, you had a statement you wanted to read.
Yes, I wanted to share some statistics with everyone and tell you just a little bit more about this ordinance. These come from Moms Demand Action and Everytown for Gun Violence. Every day, 125 people in the United States are killed with guns and more than 200 are shot and wounded. The gun homicide rate in the United States is 26 times higher than that of other developed countries. Many are suicides, as we heard earlier. The gun suicide rate is nearly 12 times that of other high-income countries. Some are unintentional. At least 120 children and teens have unintentionally shot themselves or someone else during the past 6 months alone. The largest percentage are homicides, and that includes at least 100 shootings at schools so far in 2025. What are the solutions? Data and research show that common sense public safety laws can reduce gun violence and save lives. Gun owners can make their homes and communities safer by storing their guns securely. This means storing them unloaded, locked, and separate from ammunition. Research shows that secure storage practices play a vital role in reducing the risk of gun violence. Storing firearms securely protects children and adults by preventing unintentional shootings, gun suicides, and gun theft. Each year, an estimated 200,000 to 500,000 guns are stolen, and many of them are funneled to the underground market. And 3/4 of school shooters acquire their firearms from the home of a parent or a close relative. Okay, that's a lot of bad news. I'm going to give you one piece of good news. In New Jersey ranks as number 6 in the nation for gun law strength. And under our state law, gun owners who have homes where children are present are required to lock their firearms. So this is good news. But our ordinance here that we're considering tonight goes further. It would require anyone in Maplewood who owns a firearm to secure the gun when not in use. This expanded secure gun storage requirement aims to keep guns away from anyone who is not authorized to handle a firearm. A few states have the stronger gun storage law statewide, and that includes California and our neighboring state of New York. And by passing this ordinance, we're not only protecting residents of Maplewood, which is our #1 priority, but we're also impressing upon the state the importance of stronger gun laws statewide. And we're not alone. Trenton, Hoboken, and Jersey City have in the last few months passed similar ordinances, and at least one other nearby town is considering it. So if passed, Maplewood would be the 4th municipality and first non-urban one to do so. So I hope that sheds a little more light on the importance of this. And I want to thank my colleagues for support on this important ordinance, and thanking you in advance. Maplewood has long been a strong supporter of gun safety, and I am really proud to stand here united with all of you working to end gun violence here in Maplewood and across the state. Thank you.
Okay, can you call the roll?
Mr. Daffis?
You said yes.
Did he?
He did.
He's muted.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Zengel?
Yes.
Sermon?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, Thank you. Next ordinance,
Yes,
Mr.
I said
Daff, vote again.
3164-25, Ms. Fritzen.
I didn't hear it.
You said yes.
He said yes 3 times.
Next ordinance on final. Mayor, ordinance 3164-25. An ordinance to amend chapter 271 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Zoning and Development Regulations with respect to residential front-facing garage requirements. This ordinance will amend Article 5, zoning provisions of Chapter 271 of the Township Code to incorporate requirements for the arrangement of residential front-facing garages in the R15 and R17 zoning districts.
This ordinance has been published, copies posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the law. This is also on second reading for final. Would there anyone in the public like to speak to this ordinance? Mr. Wary.
If anyone on Zoom would like to speak on this ordinance, please raise your hand. I see no hands, Mayor.
Okay, with that, I'll take a motion. Mr. Daffis.
Thank you, Mayor. I move this ordinance to be adopted as a whole and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a passed ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
I'll second. Ms. Fritzen.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes. Last ordinance on final, 3167-25.
Yes, Mayor. Item 8C, ordinance 3167-25 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 257 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Vehicles and Traffic with respect to a portion of Baker Street. This ordinance will implement 1-hour parking on a portion of Baker Street adjacent to the Maplewood Memorial Library.
This ordinance has been published, copies posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the law. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to this ordinance on final? Mr. Wary, can you check online?
Anyone on Zoom would like to speak on this ordinance, please raise your hand. I see no hands, Mayor.
Thank you. May I get a motion, Mr. DeLuca?
Yes, Mayor. I move this ordinance be adopted as a whole and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a passed ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
I'll second.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, and we have 2 ordinances on for introduction, 3168-25, Ms. Fritzen.
Yes, Mayor, it's item 9A, 3168-25 on introduction. Ordinance to amend Chapter 209 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Rental Properties with respect to Article 1 entitled Rent Control. This ordinance will amend Article 1, Rent Control of Chapter 209 of the Township Code to remove vacancy decontrol and to clarify the parameters for annual rent adjustments.
Okay, may I get a motion, Mr. Daffis?
Yes, Mayor. I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on October 7th.
Second.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Sengel?
Yes.
Ms. Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, and the last ordinance on for introduction, 3169-25.
Item 9B, Mayor, also on introduction, 3169-25, is an ordinance amending Chapter 257 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Vehicles and Traffic to prohibit parking within 5 feet of a public or private driveway on a portion of Salter Place. This ordinance will add a portion of Salter Place from Maple Avenue to a point 1,040 feet southeast thereof to the intersection of Salter Place with South Mountain Avenue to the list of streets where parking within 5 feet of a public or private driveway is prohibited.
I'll take a motion on this ordinance, Mr. DeLuca.
I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on October 7th, 2025.
Deputy Mayor,
Mr. Daffis?
that was a second, never mind.
Oh, sorry. Second.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Sengel?
Yes.
Ms. Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, thank you. With that, we'll move into reports from our departments. Mr. Weary, you up.
Thank you, Mayor. First, the township is going out for financing, or went out for financing today on bond anticipation notes, 1-year notes. And we are pleased to report that for the $20.5 million of notes we're looking to finance, we received a 2.49% interest rate, which is very, very competitive. Part of that is the market. Part of that is the township's financials. And so oftentimes when we go out for these either note sales or bond issuance, we get rated. This year we were rated by S&P, and they affirmed our AA rating for long-term and gave us a SP1 plus for our business, or excuse me, for our bond anticipation notes. In their rating report, they say that the rating reflects their view of the township's positive financial results due primarily to conservative budgeting and good revenue growth, which has led to increased reserves. So that is all good news
Good news for a
on the
change.
township's finances. So happy to report that. We have a lot of construction going on in town, and so I'd like to give some updates on a
I
few
don't
of our
think anyone's noticed a lot of construction.
projects.
Not near my house, for sure.
No,
Oh.
nowhere.
Certainly not.
I didn't know there was any. Okay.
The ones most near completion I'll start with. So Maplewood, we do our own paving every year, and we have completed the majority of our municipal road paving program. We have 3 roads left, which are near Clinton School, and those we're going to hold off until school is out of session so that we don't interfere with the pickups and drop-offs there. But otherwise, our municipal road paving program is concluded. So aside from Springfield Avenue, which is a discrete project. So that's good news for our municipal program. On Springfield Avenue, we will begin paving next Monday, September 22nd. And that will, the milling and paving will continue through the following Monday, September 29th. Those paving, the daily paving will result in full road closures. And so we'll have detours during that time. We are coordinating with New Jersey Transit, looking to set up a meeting with the school district and PD in Maplewood, as well as in Irvington and in Union, to coordinate those detours, which are pretty extensive. And so we'll put information out over our social media. You know, it is encouraged that people who are only using Springfield Avenue to go, you know, from one end of town to the other to find an alternate route. But we also want to continue to encourage people who are patronizing Springfield Avenue businesses to continue to do so. And so we'll have information about that going out late this week, as well as during road repaving, to make residents aware of that.
Yeah, daily nixles alert.
Daily nixles as usual. Those come out from the police department. We'll also put out through the township's own channels and on our social media to try to reach as many people as
And can we have those alternate routes or those detours posted on our website as well?
there's
I know you haven't
at
figured them out.
times somewhat complicated and changing daily. So I think the best advice is to follow the detour signs as they're posted. We will tell you, where the detours on Springfield Avenue will start and end, so you understand what area of Springfield Ave is closed on any given day. But the detours every day, they'll take you through a couple of turns, so it may be a little complicated.
Is that 5 days for the week? You said it'd be for the week. Are they paving over the weekend as well?
It's not over the weekend, so it's Monday to Friday and then the following Monday.
And then Tuesday and Wednesday of next week is Jewish holiday, so schools will be closed for those 2 days, so that'll help a little bit.
A little bit.
But the paving is working its way east to west, correct?
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
And they will begin early, probably around 6 a.m. Try to get as much completed before rush hour, and that way, this doesn't extend into a 2-week project.
And I know you said it, but just to say it again, because I know we talked about this earlier, you are coordinating with the school district
Yeah.
and their transportation department because they're having busing issues already. And I know
Yep.
that this is going to also affect the busing traffic. So I just want to make sure that they know this is happening even before we know all the diversions, so that they can plan.
We just received our detour plan. I forwarded that to the superintendent today and asked him to have a meeting either tomorrow or Thursday afternoon, whatever works best for them and whoever is on their side. On our side, it'll be myself, the township engineer, and representatives from our police department and the contractor as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Just on that, we've notified SCFD, right? The fire department.
We will notify SCFD. Usually that's through the police department, I believe. So I haven't
make sure.
done it myself, but we'll ensure that that's done.
So Pat, the public will know just by seeing the signs?
No, we're going to put out social media as well as through the township's own, or I put out like a township notice, and then the police department will put out next.
The Knicks will have.
Because I just want to point out that in addition to the school district buses, there's also buses for a number of families whose kids go to other schools.
Mhm.
And so that would be on the parents to sort of find out and communicate that. So
Yeah.
anything we can tell residents, I think everybody would appreciate.
Yeah, and if any residents have specific questions, they can call myself in administration, or they can call our township engineer to either connect us with those other transportation professionals, so we can work out with them what their needs are, or just to let them know where the routes are and what they can avoid on any given day.
Great, I'll call you.
All right. Yeah, please. Thank you. Okay. We're hoping to get some work done on Valley Street next week. That was New Jersey American Water through their subcontractor Montana. We're going to push that work off until we're done on Springfield Avenue because some of the detours may overlap. And we understand just the Springfield Avenue detours alone will have a great impact to our residents and people coming through town. So we're going to push off the New Jersey American Water work, and we'll announce those dates when they come up. We expect that New Jersey American Water has about 2 weeks of work on Valley Street on replacing services. That work needs to get done in the near term because the county will be paving Valley Street for the entire section in Maplewood, and that is going to happen in, I think it's October, late October.
Late or early?
So what's that?
When in October?
I'm not sure the exact date, but we're looking at, I think it's late October.
So we're not doing the Valley and Spring at the same time?
No, Valley.
I mean, New Jersey American.
Springfield will be done. That work won't happen at the same time. When we're done on Springfield Avenue, then New Jersey American Water will come into Valley. They have 2 weeks of work on Valley. They try to do the work, a few weeks, months before paving so that those trenches have an opportunity to settle. And then the county will come in and do their paving work on Valley Street. The county has indicated, they're looking to do the work overnight, which will minimize disruption for motorists, but obviously comes with some noise issues, some noise disruption. I'm not, that's the county's project. We've gotten updates, but as we get closer, I'm sure things will get finalized and we can start communicating that information to the public. And then on New Jersey American Water's other work throughout town, they had been operating with 5 crews and 5 work zones for a while. That worked well through the summer. They made a lot of progress on numbers that they've given to me, and I'll report in a little bit. We had asked them to reduce the number of work zones. Doesn't have to be the number of crews, but the number of areas they're working on in any given day. It had been 5 crews and 5 work zones. They're going to cut that down to a maximum of 3 work zones. They may, if Prospect Street is closed for 6 blocks, have 2 crews in there. So we may be able to get some more crews in to help them continue in that process. But we've asked them to reduce the number of crews just because there was a lot of work going on in town, and we know that had an impact on the traffic in town. And so New Jersey American Water was receptive to our request and has reduced again from 5 work zones to 3 work zones. Total numbers for New Jersey American Water, because given how much is going on in town, we like to see some progress. And I think it's important for the town to understand, first, what they're doing is replacing lead service lines. They have completed 656 service line replacements. They have 1,321 known lead service lines left to replace, and they still have 827 services that require inspection to determine if they have lead or not, and if they require replacement or not. So, by New Jersey American Water's math, they are about 33% complete with this project. They believe that they are on track for a February, March completion. So that's February, March of 26.
So are they going to be working through the holiday shopping season, and are they going to be near our business districts, or or can we not have them near our business districts during?
Yeah, so for business districts, they are already done on Springfield Avenue. And so they won't be on Springfield Avenue. I believe they are complete on Maplewood Avenue, at least in the village. I can confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that work has been complete, that they had done that in previous years ahead of paving. And so at least those two districts.
Ridgewood Row?
I don't know about, they've been working on Ridgewood Road. I don't know specifically where they are in those districts. We can, if for something like that, and if anybody else has sensitive areas that they want to let us know about, New Jersey American Water and their subcontractor have been receptive to working with us and moving around as we need, as long as they're still getting work done. And so I can talk to them about the Ridgewood Row and the Holiday. And if you have any other input, please let me know.
Any business district.
Anywhere where we have
Irvington Avenue.
retail, restaurant businesses from November and December should be off limits.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe they want to get to those sooner than later.
And we saw the effect that it's had on our Springfield Avenue businesses, and we don't want it to permeate through the rest of the town.
Correct.
That is my report, Mayor.
That's your report?
Yes,
Sure you don't have anything else?
that's all for now.
Yeah, you said Clinton School, you're going to hold off until school's out, or so?
Like they're on break, so they'll have 2 days together where they're not
Oh, okay.
in session, and we'll pave those days.
But it's going to be this year?
Yes.
And the second thing is just my own experience with paving on Springfield Avenue, which we did at night. Some drivers are absolutely clueless, and other drivers are entitled. And they go around barriers, and we had people drive over fresh asphalt, like getting stuck in snow. I just urge you to, I don't think we did it that well with our work up there so far on the construction side. We really need, particularly in the stretch between Tuscan and Indiana, where there's a lot of cross streets. You really need to close down those cross streets, because people are going to go around those barricades and they're going to try to shoot across Springfield Avenue. So just
Is
be
any of the
extra.
work being done at overnight?
No, it's all daytime.
All daytime.
Are you going to have the digital signs up in advance so people know? I mean, it starts on Monday.
Yeah.
Can we put those signs up so the commuters at least know people?
Yeah, we usually do that.
We
That's a
will be.
good idea. That should
Yes.
happen like tomorrow.
We can have it done tomorrow.
Good.
I know it's planned, so they could be out there today, or they could be planned for tomorrow, but we'll ensure that they're out there tomorrow.
And then I'm also just thinking, I know we're doing it over the Rosh Hashanah holiday because schools are closed, but there's also a lot of people that are going to be traveling for the Rosh Hashanah holidays. So I don't know if we want to send some information to the local synagogues for them to send out, or, because I mean, they're all in South Orange, but a lot of people from Hilton section are going that way and have to cross Springfield, and people are going out of town.
They'll be able to go over Prospect, because they're not going to get down to Prospect first couple
Yeah,
days.
they start at the other end.
Yeah,
No.
they're going to be from
Maybe we want to
Jacoby.
let people know of how to.
I think Jacoby until
Oh, I can-
about,
I have it with me. Let's see. So that's Tuesday, Wednesday are the holidays?
Tuesday, Wednesday,
Or is it's Monday evening?
Monday night, Tuesday,
Well, I would hope
Wednesday.
that, yeah, they'd be
Evening's not as
that. So
popular.
then if we're talking about Tuesday, the detour on Tuesday is from Tuscan to Colgate. And then Wednesday, it's Jacoby to Colgate.
They're doing the whole thing that quick. 6 days,
So smaller areas, yeah.
not so bad.
Any other questions for Mr. Weary? Do you get any credit or do you deserve any credit for the rating, the financial rating and the good news that you started with? Not really, right?
Small amount.
To be totally fair, our previous CFO pushed us a lot about increasing the.
That's right.
She
Yeah.
deserves credit for that.
Yeah, we have, the township has dramatically increased surplus in recent
Yep.
years. And that is one of the main drivers in us getting a more positive outlook.
And that's what he said.
Yeah.
Good.
He was right. Mr. Kaloje, thank you.
Good job, CFO Joe, on that one.
Okay, we're going to move to Jennifer Credidio, our township attorney. No report. Any questions? Attorney. Okay, let's
Way
keep
too-
that trend going.
Way too many.
Clerk's office, Ms. Fritzen.
Thanks, Mayor. So you talked about tonight National Voter Registration Day. And of course, we wouldn't want to confuse anybody, but you know, it was stated in the proclamation that the last day to register to vote, though, is October 14th. And as we do for every upcoming election, all the dates, places, locations are all up on the township website. And, you know, I'll bring this up again, but of course, on the last day to register, on Tuesday, October 14th, the clerk's office will remain open until 9 p.m., which we always do. And I also wanted to mention that we will be having our upcoming volunteer appreciation dinner in October, specifically Monday, October 27th. And I certainly wanted to reach out to the Township Committee first to make sure that the date suited you, and apparently it does. So we'll be reaching out to our volunteer slew of members for another appreciation for all of them. And that's my report.
Okay, any questions for our
I
township
have
clerk?
just one question. I know that we promoted a lot the change back from CHS to Clinton for the primary, but not everyone votes in the primary. So could we promote that again? Let people know about
We're
the
going to
change?
promote it, and we're going to get it right this time. Even if we have to do another walkthrough
Thank you.
with the school.
The schools are open that day, right? It's a half day. It's not a closure day, I think.
I think they're.
That's a half day.
It's a half day. I know they're open.
The general election?
Yeah, they changed the rules.
Mm.
So the schools are open that day.
Okay, so no questions, more questions for Ms. Fritzen, right? All right, then we'll move to reports from elected officials. Mr. DeLuca.
Mayor, two quick things. Today I was at early morning at CHS to watch the traffic. I can report that things are going pretty smooth over there. A lot of people are using the drop-offs. Academy is swamped with drop-offs, so that's really good. Kensington, a few drop-offs. One issue we're having is some of the Uber drivers and taxis are dropping off because that's where they're told to drop off by GPS, you know, in front of Parker. So that's
Right.
what they do. They go to Parker. So, you know, we're working on that, but everything is pretty good. We've been in contact with the school. We may have to do some things in the afternoon, but at least the morning works well. And then I left and went over to the middle school and saw the new scissor block
Cool. It's so cool.
in effect. And so they're going October 22nd to Atlantic City to present their project. They're one of 3 in the state, and we're hoping that they get an award. So, and then speaking of awards, the library is getting an award from the New Jersey planning officials on September 26th, I think it is. And we're one of 2, 4, 6 projects in the state, and that's for design of the Maplewood Library. So congratulations. And that's it.
Any questions for our colleague? Seeing none, we'll move on to Mr. Deffis. You still with us?
I still am listening attentively. So thanks, Mayor. First, I just want to point out for our administrator and others, um, I'm glad that we have hybrid meetings now, but when you attend one virtually yourself, you get real lived experience about the experience of attending a meeting virtually. While I can hear all of you on the dais very well, loud and clear, I'm reporting that the microphone from the podium just goes in and out. Even when the speakers are using the microphone correctly and speaking into it closely and directly, the audio just goes in and out. So when MVA President Howlett and Manager Baldry were speaking, for instance, and answering questions, and there was that back and forth after their presentation, a lot of that audio was just not captured. I'm glad that we have the closed captioning so that, you know, it's being transcribed, but we really need to look into that mic there. It presents a lot of problems for us. So I just wanted to note that. Greetings from Atlantic City, where I am attending the Governor's Conference on Housing and Economic Development. I want to let you know that Maplewood continues to get shout outs at this conference. On the one hand, we are being applauded and saluted in this moment in time, in particular, for leaning into evidence-based, trauma-informed, harm reduction related housing first principles in solving and addressing homelessness and housing insecurity in our town. There are a lot of municipalities, a lot, and some that may surprise you as progressive communities that are not doing this, that they are in fact leaning into criminalizing those folks who are unhoused and taking drastic measures. Police badges do not solve homelessness, homes do. So I just want you all to know that the hard work that we have done is really making a big difference, and it's being noticed, and people are talking about Maplewood, and it has frankly surprised me. This conference is really mostly about development and building, a little less about housing assistance. But housing assistance is a big deal right now. It's front center for a lot of communities because of the federal cuts that have been threatened, which will take a lot of people off of vouchers, eliminate vouchers, and even eliminate some programs, which in turn will, in just 1 year, double the amount of homelessness in New Jersey. So everyone's talking about this down here. They usually talk about development, like I said, but they're talking about this, and Maplewood's getting high fives. And I just want to thank you all for supporting this approach that we have taken, and to continue supporting that even during very tough budget times. We have a role to fill in the gaps, and there are gaps from the federal government coming and from the state budget that is not equipped to fill in those gaps. So we have a role as municipal leaders to fill in those gaps in an evidence-based, trauma-informed, empathic manner. So congratulations, and thank you all for the good work. From Code Committee, I have a couple of reports. One, tonight we passed we adopted a repeal of our vacancy decontrol of our existing rent control ordinance. I think that is a great first step in re-envisioning rent regulation, rent control in Maplewood to meet the moment that we're in. Another thing that came out of Code Committee that we talked about here as a governing body and all agree that we want to do, but there was some confusion. So, you know, I just want to let you know that we have come to an agreement. Code Committee has come to an agreement to move forward with the adoption of eliminating parking in the PRB townwide with that 3,500 square footage exemption, right? So up to 3,500 feet, no parking requirement. above 3,500 parking requirement. There was a confusion when we last talked about this, as some of you recall. Well, where do we start counting from above 3,500? From 0 or 3,500? And I think we have an agreement from 3,500. So I will be ensuring that at our October 7th meeting, we introduce this and move it forward. And I'll be talking about this on October 7th as well, but because it's 3 days after that meeting, I want people to know that for National Coming Out Day, which is October 10th, we're really going to have a great program, which is really, really great. Bigger than we've ever done. We're going to have a town hall, fun ceremony and fun stuff for families to come out and students. We're going to have a health fair with some exciting partners at the Maplewood Library. And we're also going to have an awesome movie at the Woodland. And again, it's really important in this moment when the LGBTQIA plus community across the nation is being targeted specifically to do what we can to raise awareness and to continue ensuring that Maplewood is a safe place for that community and all communities. That's our report.
Any questions for Mr. Daffis?
I have one question. Well, just mentioning again, the past couple years, National Night Out has started before school dismisses. So I'm just putting that plug out again. That'd be great if it could start after 4 p.m. so that kids from all the Maplewood schools are able to attend, because right now they can't come.
Yep, and we're not going to start until after. We're going to do like 4:30 this year, so it's going to be much better because of that.
Anyone else? Okay, Ms. Engel, you're up.
Oh, my turn. Last night we had the kickoff meeting for the SOMA Interfaith Holocaust Remembrance Service. So I'm just letting everybody know that date is March 15th at 3 o'clock is when the service starts, earlier than in past years. And it will be at St. Joe's this year in Maplewood. So more to come on that, but it's a really important event. And as our Holocaust survivors begin to get older and leave us, it's really important that we are able to hear their stories from them and remember our past so it doesn't happen again, especially with what's happening in the world today. I think it's an important moment. And in later news, Mr. Daffis mentioned we've been hybrid for a while, and I saw that South Orange is now just returning in person for meetings. So since we sometimes have a little rivalry going, I just want to say, like, we really beat them this time.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize they weren't in person anymore. So congratulations to our colleagues in South Orange for having to go back somewhere for a meeting. That's my report.
There you go. Any questions for Ms. Engel? All right, Deputy Mayor Herman.
Thank you. Well, I have several events to share with you all. The most, one I'm most excited about is our first ever Noche de Salsa. This is in honor of Hispanic Awareness Month, which I just read the resolution earlier. I'm so excited. Our arts and culture team of Andrea and our assistant business administrator, Miriam Perez, have put this together. And what's so exciting about this is there's going to be an instructor there teaching salsa before the dancing. So there's no excuse not to come. This is a free event, but you do need to RSVP so you can go on our arts and culture website. So this is in all of our socials on Instagram.
RSVP is closed.
Oh, is that what you just told me? It's closed? Oh, no. Are we letting people in at the door? Okay. Well, yeah, so don't get too disappointed, but we're really, this is good news. This means that our community is very excited about this. It's, so this is exactly what we want to do. We want to bring new events to our town that people are excited about. So this is great news. There will be some tickets at the door. The other things I want to tell you about, we recently started in the spring a field hockey, and we're going to bring that back in the fall. So this is for grades 4 through 8th, and it starts on September 28th, and it will be taking place in the Memorial Park North Amphitheater on Sunday mornings. So no experience needed. Bring your mouth guard, shin guards, and stick, and let's play. So you can sign up for that on our rec desk. and I went a little backwards here because I was going to tell you about fall pickleball clinics because those start tomorrow and this weekend. And then field hockey starts the weekend after. So, but pickleball is very, very popular. If you're not doing it, I don't know why not. Get your paddle and get out there. And the other thing, if you know paddles and salsa isn't really your thing, is meditation. It can be really good this time of year to center and relax. And we've got a series of meditation workshops that are starting in October. So you can sign up for that. And for our seniors and everyone, this is actually not just for seniors, it's for every age, play bridge. This is every Wednesday at the Senior Center from 2 to 4:30 p.m. I have never played bridge. I don't know how. I think I might drop by because I don't know. Everybody seems to be playing it, I guess.
It's fun.
I'm curious, but anyway, play bridge. So-
Mahjong is the other thing.
Oh yeah, Mahjong is amazing, and
a
I do
happening Mahjong scene
understand
going on.
that they have a instructor that will be coming, and they're going to be doing some classes for the seniors on Mahjong. But if anybody wants to learn, I mean, several of us know how to play, so. you
Yeah.
know,
So
maybe
you're
we'll have
opening
a
up your home.
EC.
Is it more than just
Sorry,
two of
Steve,
us? Should we do a little TC? Yeah.
You see that?
Maybe I'll try a Mahjong with Malia. We'll see.
There you go.
All right, that's all. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Deputy Mayor? Okay, great. I just have one thing. We are getting another major award. Not major, but we're getting an award, on September 25th at, from Easy Ride on our work and safe routes to schools. So, and also, separately, Martin, right?
Martin separately.
Right, he's actually presenting on the Friday bike bus at this event. So I have, I can bring one other person if anyone wants to come. Get that award. You want to come?
I would love to.
Okay. That's it. Stop fighting over it. That's all. Okay. Any questions for me? Okay, then we'll move on to our discussion items. The first, I'm going to need the help of our attorney. We have a request from Noir Dispensary to provide delivery services. And we just need to know some advice. I think you just turned your mic off. Yeah. From our attorney on what the process is for that. Use your. Yeah, there you go.
Tech support.
Yeah, tech support.
So the applicant currently has a retail license under state law. They are allowed to deliver their own product so long as they use certified cannabis handlers. Certified cannabis handlers are the same types of employees that would actually be performing sales inside the dispensary,
Okay.
or they can use a delivery service. At the time of their original application, they weren't sure which route they were going to go, and they didn't specify that. There are a number of state regulations with respect to delivery of cannabis, including a lot of the details about the vehicles, where they should be parked. They should have, lock boxes installed. They should have GPS. So what we would suggest is to have the current license holder submit an updated, not even an application, but just a safety plan, really, the details of their delivery operation so that we can review with public safety, for compliance with the state regulations. And then I would have us do a resolution at our following meeting as soon as we can assure ourselves of those details, just updating our endorsement of their current license. Their license was just renewed in June.
Okay. Okay, so we will let them know that. Will, the township, or do you want me to reach back out to them? I will, since you're just looking at me like, to let them know what the process is. Okay, fair enough. I'll do that. Any discussion at all on that? Okay. Next discussion item. Overnight,
You want to go past resolution?
Oh.
It's 9:30.
9:24. How long are you going to talk?
I
You got 3 items.
move that we go past 9:30.
Second.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Dangle?
Yes.
Sermon?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, but not long. It's my daughter's birthday and she just got in from Peru. just my personal preference. Okay, Mr.
Okay,
DeLuca.
so the first is the report of the overnight parking working group. So we've had some residents appear here and at our public safety and our engineering public works meetings asking us to consider some lifting of the overnight parking restriction, which is in effect from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So we put together a working group, which included Committeewoman Engel, myself, Mr. Weary, Ms. Fritzen, Mr. Kittner from engineering, Chief Sally, and our attorney, Jennifer Credidio. And we talked about the current prohibition of parking, reasons why, both from DPW, cleaning streets, public safety, not having activity on the street during that time, having clear views as they patrol. And we've all agree that we don't want to change that. We don't want to lift that town-wide, so it's not a complete ban or a complete lifting of the ban, but instead what we've proposed is a permit system which would allow residents in certain zones which are designated as residential 2-4 zones, which are generally two families, 3 families. They're smaller lots, either 4,000, 5,000 square foot minimum. So it is a much more congested area, and parking is at a premium. Off-street parking generally is a single lane, and if you have multiple families in those homes, it's difficult for folks to maneuver the cars in and out. So what we're talking about is recommending the ability for a resident in those zones to purchase one permit for overnight parking for a personal automobile, which is registered as a passenger vehicle, so no commercial vehicles would be on the street. The understanding is that the resident would park in front of their residence or nearby within the zoning district, and we would give out, as people get permits, we'd give out sort of a good neighbor set of recommendations. You know, don't always park in front of someone's house if, you know, you can't park in front of your house, because people do feel a little weird about having people park in front of their house all the time, even though it's all public. So they would be subject to emergency snow regulations if we had it, and DPW would work around with leaf pickup and what have you. So the permits would be one per unit. So if it's a 3-family, each unit in that property would be entitled to get one permit. The new permit would be, we currently have a type A and type B permit. This would be a type C permit, which would allow the on-street parking. It would be $600 per year, which is the same amount that we charge for parking in a public lot. Right now, a type B permit is for someone who doesn't have a driveway to park in front of their house, and we charge them $240. So the delta between somebody who doesn't have a driveway and somebody who does have a driveway is $360, which we think is fair. The person who doesn't have the driveway has no options. The person who does have the driveway has options, and if they want to opt to park on the street, we thought it should be consistent with what we're charging in the public lots. And that's pretty much it. So, it does allow it. We'd have to do a public notice campaign. First of all, we'd have to change the ordinance, because the ordinance would have to be changed. And if we want to move forward with this, we can introduce it at the next meeting and move on that. And, by the end of the year, we would be able to, actually sooner, maybe around Thanksgiving, we'd be able to have all this up and get it out publicly, and people start getting permits. We don't work on a physical permit anymore. We work on a license plate registration that you register with the clerk's office. That information is provided to the police, and the police use that. Although we did talk the possibility of doing both a physical permit and this registration, but we haven't really resolved that part yet. I would tell you that I did speak to a resident about this, one of the proponents of parking on the street, and what she told me was that it sounds like a good idea, but you would have to enforce the other cars who park on the street without the permit, because if you're paying the $600 and somebody down the street is parking on the street and not getting ticketed for it, that could be a problem. So, and if you do get a ticket for overnight parking, I believe it's $60. So $50 a month is a pretty good deal.
Well, I'm in favor of it. I think we have a lot of residents who are in need of this. We've heard from them, and I think regulating it by permit will keep it from being too many cars parking overnight. So anyone else have thoughts?
I agree. I support this. I think this is a great workaround.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm in favor of it as well. And,
you have.
I think that thank you for working on this. I know we've heard from a lot of residents. This has been a concern for a long time. And, we expanded the overnight parking in lots, but as we heard, some residents,
Live too far.
don't want to, it's dangerous to, it's uncomfortable to walk so far to their home. They don't live nearby. So I think this is
Although we did get a lot of the lights fixed in the Maple Crest Park because of that residence.
That's great.
I'm obviously in support of this. My one thing is for the good neighbor sheet, which I'm also in support of. Mr. Wary, can our public information officer work on something? Because if we're talking about putting this on the agenda for the next meeting, we need some runway to get materials together, right?
Yeah, we'll have 2 readings, so we have some time to get
Yeah.
together. But yeah, we'll get started on it for sure.
All right, then looks like we've moved forward with an ordinance at the next meeting for introduction and designating Sustainable Maplewood as Maplewood's green team.
Yes, so Sustainable Maplewood, the committee recommends that we disband the current green team, which has not been meeting. We're unable to get recruits, volunteers, or leadership has not been able to carry, go forth. So we talked about, and this was really Mr. McCoy coming to us and saying, really, we have this Sustainable Maplewood, and when you look at Sustainable Jersey's description of what the green team is, it really is Sustainable Maplewood. And I'll just give you an example that Sustainable Jersey talks about a green team being made up of people with skills and expertise that support the creation of a sustainable community. And they say such entities can go by any name, but the role is the same: lead and coordinate the sustainable activities of the community. And that's what we're doing in Sustainable Maplewood. We're working with all the municipal department heads and other, certainly our Environmental Advisory Committee and other groups around town that are thinking about sustainability. More recently, we've created a relationship with a group at Winchester Gardens that's thinking about sustainability. So, I've sent you the draft of just really changing the Sustainable Maplewood current ordinance to incorporate some of the features of the green team. Sustainable Jersey talks about members of the green team being municipal staff and departments, elected officials, volunteer members of boards and commissions, civic organizations, community residents, and that's all included in this. So I think we're recommending that we move forward with designating Sustainable Maplewood as Maplewood's green team.
I'm in favor. Anyone else?
Yep. Go for it.
I'm in favor. We've been talking about this for a while, I feel like, so it's nice to finally do it.
Yeah. Okay.
No, everything has to ripen.
This is
So
right.
this is the right moment to bring.
2 years, I
That's
think.
what you learn about
I think
government.
it was 2
Everything
years.
has to ripen. Talk about it a long time, but it has to ripe. It has to be ready.
Okay.
Right.
Next discussion item.
Yes, we're ready for this. This is the working group to recognize. We had a lot of work being done. Working group to recognize Maplewood's firsts. If you remember back in February, I raised the idea of recognizing the first African American to be on the Township Committee, the first African American to be what we called then vice mayor, first African American to be mayor, first woman to be on the Township Committee, first woman to be mayor, first Latina to be on the Township Committee, first out the Township Committee member and mayor. So we talked about how we could recognize these folks, and we come up with a couple of, and I should say the working group included a bunch of us, Andrea from Arts and Culture, Ms. Perez, Ms. Fritzen. We even got Patty Chrisman as a former member of Historic Preservation because we wanted to make sure that we had that. And of course, the mayor was involved in this too, myself. So anyway, we did a tour here. And so we have a couple of recommendations. Number one, right now we have a mayor's alcove and no one knows where it is because it's hidden. Maybe we're ashamed of our mayors, I don't know. But we're talking about bringing those out and using a wall in the lobby to put the current mayors and take them. We have photos of all the mayors, bring them out, put them there so they're seen by everyone. And in those mayors who are firsts, such as Mayor Davenport, Mayor Pettis, Mayor Daffis, that we would indicate underneath their first status. So that's one thing, and that's sort of a set recommendation that we just move things out of the alcove and put it up there. And then the second recommendation is that we do a request for concepts or a call for concepts. And this would be going to local artists to come to us with their concept of creating a wall of firsts. And this would be, I'll just read you, this is the draft call for concepts. We invite local artists, designers, creative teams to submit concepts for a wall of firsts, which will celebrate and honor the trailblazers in Maplewood's history. Individuals who have achieved important firsts by breaking barriers, paving the way for greater inclusivity, equity, and community pride. And so we would display that. It could be, I mean, we don't know what it's going to be.
Right.
The goals is just to recognize the firsts, to educate people. We want it in the lobby so that as people come in, they would see the mayors, but they'd also see the firsts. So that's what we're proposing. And if people are good with it, we'll keep running with it. We have an expert coming in, not this Friday, but a week from now to tell us how we might be able to affix the photos to the marble wall without wrecking the wall, and how we might be able to do this wall of firsts.
Okay,
Does this sound okay?
sounds good.
Okay. That's it.
All right, good. So we have the consent agenda. Can I get a motion for passing the consent agenda?
I move the consent agenda.
Second.
Ms. Fritzen, please call the roll.
Mr. Daffis,
Yes.
DeLuca.
Yes.
Sengel.
Yes.
Terman.
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes, thank you. This brings us to our second public comment session on any topic at all. If there's anyone online or in the room who'd like to speak to the Township Committee, please raise your hand now.
See no hands, Mayor.
All right, then with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
At 9:37, Mayor, I move we adjourn.
A second.
Second.
Mr. Daffis,
Yes.
DeLuca.
Yes.
Sengel.
Yes.
Terman.
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Daffis, $5 on red to win.
You got it.